Felix here, and we have excitement around Palantir, and I'll show it to you. We've got deals, not just one, we have two deals announced literally within the last 45 minutes or so. So I thought we'd cover this live. We can talk about it, and we can also talk about while the stocks keeps tanking while we have good news out. I apologize, I'm a little bit less lit today. I sunburned my eyes, not something I knew you could do, but I don't recommend it. Basically anything bright and glary for me is a no-go. Therefore, I'm sitting here slightly in the dark. So what are the deals we've got? Well, if you're on the Discord, you'll already know it. We have Kinder Morgan, that's the first one. And then we also have a $43 million contract from Space Systems Command. We're going to look at both of those. We're going to kick off with the Kinder one. And any questions you have, we look at the chart, we look at a little bit of the backstory to this and give this a nice summary and also a discussion on whether or not the stock's actually ever going to go up again. If you want to get the news first, like an hour before everybody else in the world, come and join our Patreon. It's the greatest community there is out there for fact-based, honest, genuine discussions with lots and lots of smart people. So there are, I added 5 new of our 15 cents a day spots. So jump on that. So here is the Palantir official announcement. And let me just see if I can move myself into a more better corner. I move myself into the other corner, and then you can actually see what they're saying as well. So Palantir is a leading builder of an operating system for the modern enterprise, and Kinder Morgan, one of the largest energy infrastructure companies in North America. And let me just show you this. This is Kinder Morgan's natural gas pipeline terminal and storage system in the US. Fairly major. I think you can just see that from the map here, right? These are not little guys. They are listed also. KMI is the ticker, pays a very nice dividend, about 7.2%. It's not been very great at creating shareholder value, but been relatively stable the last 5 years or so. And as I say, paying 7-point-something% dividend for all the dividend guys out there. So Kinder Morgan will deploy Foundry to optimize its US-based gas storage operations. Operators and decision makers will be provided with a common operating picture of the company's infrastructure, connecting transactional systems, data streams, analysis, and operations over supply, grid integrity, customers, and pricing. With real-time access to this information, Foundry will enable Kinder Morgan to make data-driven decisions on gas storage optimization and maintenance scheduling. Safety, reliability, and affordability are critical to the nation's energy infrastructure. Utilizing Foundry will strengthen Kinder Morgan's ability to maintain its lead in those fields, says Shyam. Energy companies like Kinder Morgan have vast amounts of data from disparate sources that rarely interact, and we believe Foundry is the best tool on the market to solve this complex problem. Palantir Foundry is vertically integrated software platform that bridges the full spectrum of data operations. I think most of us know that. Kinder Morgan will use Foundry to analyze millions of data points from sensors across its entire pipeline network, contracts and storage assets, electricity consumption and weather data, grid and commodities data to provide it with an overview of business operations. And Foundry was particularly useful at delivering us results on critical and complex challenges quickly, says Mark Hughes, Kinder Morgan's CIO. In our business, we put a premium on doing things safely. To be able also to move at such speed is extremely valuable. That's basically the first major deal here. We don't know the value of it. They haven't announced that. They might never. They may or may not. We just don't know. Maybe they will at some point. But just to give you an idea, this entire network of infrastructure is basically millions of sensors, lots of data, obviously huge differences in temperatures and weather and all sorts of things. So it's a huge undertaking to keep a handle on that. And I just looked them up. They pay 7-point-something% dividend. The stock has not done wonderfully. If you zoom out, and it's a small chart, but 10 years, it was at $20 in 2011. Now it's sitting at 15. So over the last 5, it's been sort of steady. If you factor in the 7%, basically where we started in 2016. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. 7.1% dividend ratio. It's kind of a typical dividend stock, really. PE at just under 20, 15 billion revenue. and net income 1.8 billion. So nice and profitable, though there is some cyclicality to that, as you can see from that little tiny green chart there. They are one of the bigger beasts in the sector. So the average market cap in the sector is 10 billion. KMI has a 34 billion market cap. So that makes them sort of stand out quite a bit. Also pay a higher dividend. Shareholder yield is 12%. So an interesting one to look at. There were a couple of buy ratings I saw from JP Morgan had a hold. There were some of the Japanese investment banks. Mitsuho had a buy on this. But why is it important? Because these are exactly the kind of monster deals that we expect Palantir to get. Why do I say monster deal? Because I would suspect that they are paying 10 million plus for this service, just because it's such a big system, such a big network. And I think the value given to somebody of that size is going to be very significant. I mean, if you have, what did I say the revenue was? 15 billion US dollars. So this is kind of what we want more of, right? And this is why I'm quite happy about this, because these are the kind of companies we expect to use Foundry. This is sort of the old Palantir business model. These guys should be using Foundry, and they are. Once one of them does it, or two of them, or three of them, you would think more would fall in line, just because there is an advantage here. Desmond says, looking at the pipeline map, welcome Desmond, once Palantir gets integrated, then good luck getting back out of it. I also agree with you that once all of your systems, all of your sensors are integrated into Foundry, the switching cost is going to be substantial, just because the risk of, say, a pipeline shutting down by accident, or you not realizing the bad weather coming in, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the country, and therefore you're doing the wrong thing. Those things are potentially so costly, it just isn't really worth a bit of money saving on a piece of software. And I think that's really what's going on here. Now, the stock, Baron is throwing that out there quite correctly. Well, the stock doesn't love these stories, right? This was on the 1st of December. Alex Karp selling 574,000 shares once again. So that's one of the reasons the market doesn't love those. Secondly, if we look at the actual pre-market here, Palantir down 0.5%, which I think QQQ is recovering a bit. Nope, down again as well, 0.42. Okay, that's just goes to show how quickly futures turn around. It was green about an hour ago, but the QQQ has also turned red again here. Dow Jones and S&P still green, though volatility down about 5%. It was down about 10% about 2 or 3 hours ago when I last looked at this. So it's moving with the market, Baron. I think you have a fair point there. Still doesn't make for a very pretty chart. We'll have a look at that in a second. But before we do, let's have a look at the second announcement here. That's Palantir secures additional 43 million contract from Space Systems Command, which just sounds, I'm sorry, but Space Systems Command sounds like something from a fantasy film or something. It's a really silly name. They should have come up with something more serious, but maybe it's just my silly mind, having watched too many sillier 90s films, right? So what is this all about? Space Systems Command, cross-mission ground and communications enterprise, awarded a 43 million contract today, not some other time, but today, to continue its delivery of data and decision platform to support national security objectives. This 43 million contract is an additional extension, expanding upon previous awards from April and August this year. The total cumulative face value of the contract is now $91.5 million. It's very nice. Government contracts are sticky. This award provides continued capabilities for Project Brown Heron, which enables all domain situational awareness and decision-making at NORAD US Northcom and the Space C2 division under the Cross-Mission Ground and Communications Enterprise, ECX. The United States government loves their acronyms, don't they? ECX is a new one we'll have to learn. The Palantir platform, known as Warp Core. This is the bit that gets interesting. This is a new platform. This is actually possibly a new product. This is possibly one of those 3 products that Alex Karp was telling us about when he was speaking in German at the Deutsche Telekom conference. is being utilized. So Warp Core is being utilized to make decisions from large volumes of data in support of these missions. Warp Core leverages Palantir as a configurable enterprise data management and operations software solution that enables the integration and management of data from various data sources and supports application delivery, in-depth analysis, and data-driven decision-making across echelons of functional communities, including for users who operate on multiple security levels across multiple networks. That's a fairly long sentence, isn't it? But I guess they got it all in there in a pretty dense way. So essentially, the usual Foundry story, lots of data from different places, but with the addition here that you have users who operate on different security levels. So people who have different security clearance can still use it, and somehow the system filters that out. As the application and data landscape continues to rapidly expand in both scale and complexity, that's in the US government, Warp Core simplifies and streamlines data management integration to aid in everything from readiness to improved decision-making. Warp Core works also to extend beyond space domain awareness missions and was recently used by the SSC and its partners to assist the evacuation of US allies from Afghanistan. So this whole thing ties into well, general military use really as well. The threats to our nation in and through the space domain are very real. As we've seen in recent weeks, we must continue to advance our nation's space domain awareness capabilities, says the Global Defense Lead at Palantir. We are very proud to have consistently earned the confidence of this innovative organization and to continue our partnership. And then it just tells us a little bit about them. So Space System Command is in El Segundo in California, which also makes me think of a Tribe Called Quest song, but never mind about that. Desmond says, hit the like button, everybody. Thank you very much. Heck of a sentence indeed, Ian. They're not shy to... almost makes me wonder if Alex Karp dictates these, because they are always so like jam-packed full of information in a very clear yet convoluted manner, but very long sentences. The sort of sentence length only a philosopher would deem appropriate, really, or someone who reads a lot of German literature. So exciting? Yes, I think it is. I think it goes further to show the stickiness of Palantir government contracts, and that we are just, in my view, scratching the surface. And I should have always said at the very beginning of this, it's not financial advice. This is for entertainment only. If you're wondering why I'm slightly sitting in the dark, I went hiking on Tuesday, and for about 5 hours, I was in the sunshine. It somehow seems to have burned my eyes slightly. So I'm sitting today mostly in the dark without the bright lights because my eyes can't handle it. But I suspect I'll be back fully lit within a day or so. Brandon says, it makes no sense that this is dipping hard. I completely agree with you. Let me show you what the pre-market is here. This is the second ticker I pay for, down 50.57% to 1927. Shall we have a look at the chart as well? Here is the chart. So I have to zoom in on everything a bit bigger as well. My eyes are a little bit unfocused today. So we are at, what are we at? 1927 at the moment, that orange line here. Now, do we have much support around these price levels? No, we don't. That's a little bit the problem. There is some support at essentially 1850. And yeah, 1850 is a support line I would draw in here reluctantly. But I'll put a little flag on that too. So that's sort of around about 1850. And then the more bigger support level, in a sense, is the previous dip over here. So, sorry, just to show you, the 1850 comes from the fact that these two little days here in, that was 3 earnings ago, or was that May 15th or something like that? They were acting as support. And then the big one would be 11th of May, which was... seriously, eyes 1786. So that would be the other line of, hang on, what was the low that day? 1706. You see, my eyesight today not so good. So those will be the real support lines. In reality, though, clean numbers like $19 do provide quite a bit of kind of psychological support. So I would suspect that $19 would also be an additional one. Now, if you've only got to do one thing today, come and join us for the free webinar. I hold free webinars fairly regularly. This one's all about how we make 2022 the greatest year ever, how we make a proper portfolio plan for 2022 based on not just portfolio theory and all the structure behind it, but also on all the sectors that the banks are liking and disliking, all the new things that might do well next year, factoring into it interest rate rises, inflation staying relatively high, and all those kind of factors. It's completely free, so come and join me, but you have to register for it. It's not on YouTube, so you miss it if you are just waiting on YouTube. Even if you're subscribed, you don't get that. So go to felixfriends.org/webinar, and then you have to do just one thing, and that is pick one of the 2 sessions that I have available, and it just depends on your time zone, really. So if you're watching this live with me here, perhaps the 9 a.m. Eastern time session is good for you. If you are based maybe on the west coast of the US or in Asia, you might prefer the session 2. Content will be the same. They'll both be live, so I'll be taking your questions during both lives as well. So just put your name and email in here, register. You can ask a question as well in advance. You don't have to, but you can, but you have to register. Otherwise, you'll miss out on the whole thing, which would be a shame. Philip is saying, so support lines, stocks break through them one after the other. Yeah, technical analysis doesn't give you a definite, right? It doesn't say we're not going to break through this. It just tells you that there is support there, and that is still an important thing to look at. And then if you break through these support lines, you get an idea of how bad this could be. And then if you break through 1706, for example, then yeah, you are really in trouble. So you kind of know if you go below that, you really are in trouble. It might be time to get the parachute out. So I think that's why there is still significant value in it. I look at it quite a lot, certainly for entry and exit points, people who swing trade. The day traders look at this. So it predicts human psychology, but because everybody follows the same theory, it actually works in addition. And then, of course, we have other indicators like that give us momentum. Momentum here is negative. I can see that. How do I see that? You put a little line in, and then you look at, minus 3.8, a little bit negative, not horribly so, but a bit. And then down here, you see the dark pool indicator implying institutional sell-offs. Now, we can have a look at the market overall, and I'll do a quick recap on the Palantir story. So this is the market overall. Even the S&P seems to be turning kind of reddish. It was very green earlier today. The Dow Jones only a fraction up. What is it all about? Well, it's all about this new COVID nonsense. Essentially, unless you are the Trump's back, which is up almost 14% here, not that much is. Snowflake is also up quite significantly. Peloton making a recovery here. Xpeng, some of the Chinese stocks like Didi and Tal are up somewhat inexplicably. And Tesla having a good run up to $1,100. NEO is up 0.5%. JP Morgan and so on. So there was a bit of a rebound from the sell-off yesterday. That was just kind of overdone, a bit of a flight somewhat into safety. But it's not really, it seems to not be lasting. It seems to be getting worse the longer I look at this. So NVDA is down, Square is down, soon to be called Block, right? Which is quite a smart move, really. If you want to get in on the whole blockchain move, Facebook now Meta, Square now Block. You can kind of see where they're going with those. EHang had reported horrible numbers. I thought I read that. Somebody asked about that earlier. Glenn here, thank you. Yeah, not only did they only have $2 million in revenue, but they also had massive sort of warnings and caveats to how things are going to get rolled out more slowly because their customer is basically the Chinese government, and that might take more time and so on. So lots of interesting bits on test flights and so on, but very, very little in terms of financials. And then, they were late. So I think it's a pretty poor show from them there. Mohammed, I have not had a chance to look at Snowflake's earnings report yet. No, I haven't. Let me see. We can pull that up here. I suspect it was good given what the stock seems to be doing. let me pull up a chart here, and then we might get our hands on a little bit of Snowflake news. Snowflake being valued as a huge, huge multiple of Palantir for some reason. There we go. When you're trying to load something, it takes a little bit of time. Okay. You want to talk about Grab as well? I might do a video on that. Okay, I don't know why this isn't loading. We're not going to have to stare at that the whole time. Okay, let me do a quick recap. If you just joined on the Palantir story, it's been on our Discord for about 2 hours or so. That's always the place. It's first. I wanted to post it, and actually the community is faster, and I really love that. So, KO, thank you very much for posting that. If you're watching, I've seen more and more that I am actually no longer needed, which is absolutely brilliant. That's exactly why we created this community. You can jump on that as well through the Patreon links down below, felixfriends.org/Patreon. It literally is like 15 cents a day or something, and you get access to marvelousness of all the greatest news, a fantastic community of people to discuss and share things with, and also my trades and everything else. So we've got 2 monster contracts out. We have the first one between Palantir and Kinder Morgan, and essentially this whole story says that you should only do one thing today, and that is sign up for the free webinar, because why wouldn't you want to make 2022 a better year than 2021, which is exactly what we're going to do in that. And essentially Kinder Morgan owns this massive chunk of the US natural gas pipeline infrastructure, terminals, massive storage. Just an enormous company, lots of vessels and everything else. So they basically power a large part of the US. And this whole network is now connected to Foundry with millions of data points. And what did they say? They said, in our business, we put a premium on doing things safely, so to be able to move at such speed is extremely valuable. So basically, it connects not just the pipeline network, but also contracts, storage, assets, electricity consumption, weather data, grid data, commodities data, and much, much more. So, they actually work generally on fairly slim margins, these guys. So for them to be able to do something a bit more efficiently is going to be a big one. We don't know what the value of this is, but I looked up. Their revenue is 15.3 billion. They had 1.8 billion US dollars in profit last year. So I would suspect this is a 10 million plus contract. I can't really see them paying much less for that, given the scale of the operations and the likely saving there for that. It's also a stock that pays a 7.1% dividend yield. So if you're a dividend hunter, you can have a look at that and see whether that fits your requirements. The second contract is the United States government Space Systems Command, ready for takeoff. And they've expanded the existing contracts with a new award of $43 million, which is an additional extension, expanding upon the awards from April and August this year, which we covered, of course, on this channel. So that whole contract with Space System Command is now worth $91.5 million. And they've created a new platform, which is known as Warp Core, which really seems to be sort of a new product within a Foundry, and it sort of does what you'd expect it to do, combines all the data in a really smart way. And one of the things they're sharing with us here is that it was also used in the evacuation of US allies from Afghanistan. So a real, very real life kind of application. And you kind of get to see this, I think, more and more, that as there is a need for something, it seems that, I don't know, someone just gets on the phone to Alex and says, can you get this? Can you fix this? We'll give you a contract for it afterwards. Just sort it out. Contracts follow. I think there is a bit of that sort of real urgency there from the US military side. So great news. Yes, absolutely. What's the stock doing? Well, the stock market, Nasdaq's down 0.25%, and Palantir is, as we're speaking, down 0.3%. So basically in line with market at 1932. So what's going to move Palantir? Well, I think an accumulation of these contracts. We need lots of these. We need these consistently, as we've seen, 40% growth year on year. They keep doing that quarter and quarter and quarter and quarter out into the future. Eventually, the financial markets and Wall Street will have to fall in line. To me, it's a bit of a story like Amazon. Look back at the 2015 or something. Everybody hated Amazon. Everyone said they'll never make money. They said Walmart will run them out of business, which seems like an unlikely story now. But, people are not, generally speaking, very open to innovation. I like the story. I like the product. Not such a fan of this here, insider selling, of which we've also had an absolute ton. So this was on the first again, another 500,000 shares sold. Of course, the market doesn't love that, and there's been plenty of that. And so that's a bit of an issue. The issue gets smaller and smaller as revenue grows and as we move further forward, because a lot of this stuff was front-loaded after the IPO, but there will still be substantial dilution there from management. Scott says, I'm getting a little dismayed at Palantir's short-term performance. Yeah, it's not fun to watch the portfolio. I'm with you on that. It also cost me some money on some options trades lately. But yeah, I think with these things, unless you have a 5-year plus horizon, probably best not to buy growth stocks. I think best to just stay away, because they are more volatile and they go through these phases as well. Ola's talking about Wejo. Yeah, you know what? I think that makes really very little sense, the way the stock market is moving. Wejo. There is obviously a lot of speculation in this particular one, because it went to 20 and now it's trading at a fraction of that. I personally can't really see what's happening there in an underlying sense, why it's being caned so hard. Let's have a look at short interest. Okay, we've got too many indicators open. Let's close one. Where is short interest? Here we go. Okay, we can't see it because it's too new, I think. Or the platform is just a bit slow today, TradingView. Look, it's sort of loading, but not giving us any data. Let's have a look at Wejo Finviz. That might tell us. There we go. Okay, so no, they also don't tell us. Just not enough data, because the company hasn't been, trading under that ticker for very long. So, yeah, it's an odd one, really. That it, there is a lot of speculation in some of the SPAC stocks, and I think Wejo is one of those that sort of really hit the imagination there of probably short sellers. Chris says, as Carpsies keep selling, well, yeah, he sold another 500,000 shares on the first. It is what it is. It is announced. There's a schedule for it. There are always scheduled sales. So it's just part of how he gets paid. It will become, as a percentage, less and less of revenue and eventually profit. But it is something that overhangs. Yes, and a lot of people don't like that. I totally get that. You got your Christmas bonus today. Congratulations and happy Christmas. Well, that's the first time I said that this year. And okay, you're putting it half into Palantir, half into Tesla. I hope you have a long horizon. I hope you have a long-term time horizon there on that, because that's really important for these volatile stocks. Okay, you guys are also joking about the Space Systems Command. Yeah, it does look... PayPal support. Okay, we can have a look at that in a second as well. So if you just joined in here, we've got 2 Palantir contracts out. One, Kinder Morgan, a huge natural gas pipeline company with $15 billion revenue. We don't know what the value of that is, but I suspect it's going to be 10 million plus, and essentially to monitor and power this. This is their infrastructure. This is the infrastructure that they own. These are not just all natural gas pipelines in the US. These are actually Kinder Morgan pipeline storage facilities, terminals, and vessels, and so on. So it's a pretty major one for them, and exactly the kind of contract we'd expect Palantir to get. So I'm very happy about this, because we should be getting all of these S&P, Dow Jones, like monster companies, they should all be using Foundry, and they are, and they're saying some very nice things about it, how basically they put a premium on doing things safely, and at such speed, it's very valuable for them to monitor everything in terms of data, deliverability, prices, commodity prices. They're tied in with companies' contracts, of course, storage where it is, weather data, and everything else as well, to make sure that their pipelines are safe and that their gas is in the right part of the country at the right time for their customers to get their hands on it. The second contract is Space Systems Command. We were just giggling about being very immature on Space Systems Command, and essentially it's a $43 million top up to the existing contract. So it now takes that to $91 million. And that only came out in April and in August this year. So you can see that snowballing there from the US government, really spending some money. And it's a new product, the way I see it. It's called Warp Core. So they've created a platform on the basis of Palantir. Well, actually, they don't actually tell us whether it's Gotham or maybe it's a combination of everything. Anyway, it's called Warp Core, and it basically does what we'd expect it to do, ties together all the data from everything, while allowing for different people with different security clearance to access what they need. And it works also beyond space domain awareness. So they used it to evacuate US allies from Afghanistan on the withdrawal from Afghanistan just a short time ago. So I think we're seeing, there was an interesting sentence here as well about how the amount of data and their capabilities are increasing rapidly, essentially in the government sector. I can't see the sentence now, but the US government has only just begun with basically getting into the digital age, essentially. So I think there's a lot more to come here from the US government US government side. Now the market has indeed opened, so let's have a look at what is actually happening here. Trump's back's going nuts, up 13%. Snow up 11%. I was trying to open up the chart for Snow just now, but for some reason TradingView is being a bit sticky. DD is up to 817, which is great because I bought some of that, not because I like the stock. I really don't. I really don't like the company, but I think we might get a bit of a bonus for taking this private. Peloton up. That's a risky play, by the way, so I don't recommend it. Peloton up to $43. GameStop's up. That's rarely a good thing for the market. XPeng reporting good numbers is up. Some of the Chinese education stocks are up, which makes no sense. NEO up 39.20. That's good on very solid delivery numbers there. JP Morgan recovering. So we're seeing a bit of a recovery from yesterday. Tesla dropping just below $1,100 here. PayPal making slight increments, moving up to $181 now. And then rides down 2.5%. Let's see what are the bigger movers here. Volatility is coming down nicely, 3%. EHang, fairly atrocious results, I'd say. So 13% down is probably deserved, at least in the short term. Apple's down 3%. And that Apple move, what's that all about? Well, Apple basically told some of its suppliers, look, people are not buying as many iPhones 13s, so we're not going to need as many parts. And that's actually really sent tech markets around the world reeling, because Apple is seen as such a great big guidance there. But why is that? Well, it's fairly hard to get your hands on an Apple, an iPhone 13. Also, they're making less iPads at the moment. Just supply issues, really. They already told us they're going to make about 10 million less. Nazi, thoughts on Twitter? Yeah, interesting one, really. I mean, in many ways, I think Twitter is a fantastic platform. I think it's a fantastic product. Did they miss the boat a bit? Yes, absolutely. I do think Jack Dorsey was rather an absent CEO. I don't think in recent times he's done the greatest job there, although the product is fantastic, but they're not monetizing it properly. There was an interesting comment out today by Kathy Woods. He was saying she likes Twitter. Twitter's positioning as a verification platform, which will be huge with NFTs. So they are going majorly into the whole metaverse sector. And for that, there seems to be a place there for Twitter. I haven't really fully looked at that, how that would work, but a lot of people are verified on Twitter. You could run transactions through that, payments and so on. So there might be something there that we are not quite aware of. I do have some Twitter shares which have been hurting me fairly badly of late. So yeah, interesting to see what the new strategy is that they're going to come out with, because they do need a new strategy. Chris, do I hold Barber? Yes, I do. I still do. I haven't bought any for a while, but given what the share price is doing, my options trade, I sold puts at 130. So if we stay below 128 and a bit on the 18th of December, I'm going to be loading up on more Barber rather involuntarily. Okay, we can stray off Palantir a little. I'm happy to do that. GGPI, I'm personally a big fan of it. I think very solid product. They're going to deliver about 29,000 cars in total by the end of the year, cumulatively that is, which is sort of, model is proven. They can build them, they drive, they are capable of doing that. What I'm most excited about is the Polestar 3 going into mass production in North Carolina in the United States next year. That's an SUV made in the US. That model works super well. Look at, where does BMW make its SUVs? They make them in the US, right? This really works. It makes a lot of sense. You can tailor them to the US market. They're made in the US. People feel comfortable with it. I think from a branding side, that makes a lot of sense. So for that reason, and then if you look at the valuation, comparing it to everything else out there, the Neos, the Rivians, and so on, it looks pretty appealing to me. But that's just my take on it. So I literally have been talking about Polestar since, I think, December or January, probably January this year, if you go back in my old videos. So that's how long I've been following that story there. Please do a benchmark on Twitter, says Nazi. Okay, I'll gladly do that, Nazi. That's a good idea. We'll do that. I'll do some more sector benchmarks as well. So if you have any preference, do shout them out or drop me a line. You can do that on the Patreon, on the Discord, and let me know what particular sectors you want us to look at. We will also be looking at sectors on the free webinar, so do sign up for that. felixfriends.org/webinar. It's a double whammy webinar in the sense that we'll have 2 sessions. We'll be looking at how we can make the most out of 2022, portfolio planning strategies, what sectors, what areas, what to overweight, what to underweight, and just how to make 2022 the best year ever. It's completely free. There are usually about 90 minutes, and it's going to be great fun. You can ask me questions live or also in advance. Pick the session that fits your time zone. They both have the same content, but I'll do them both live so I can answer both questions, so they're not replays or anything like that. So come and join me on that. It's going to be great fun, and you won't see this on YouTube. It won't be on here. I won't put it out, so you can only get there by signing up in advance, and the spots will run out because my platform charges me, and there is a cap for the live streaming of webinars, so you can only have so many people on there. So don't be disappointed. Jump on it as soon as you can. Martin says, smash the like button. No, that's not what you said. Seriously, my eyesight today, totally out of focus. I spent about 5 hours on a mountain on Monday, and that seemed to do the trick. I can show you the proof of it too. We have a bit of a non-investment chat for a bit of fun on our Discord as well. This was me and Winston, my lovely golden retriever pal. On Monday, we did some serious mountain climbing, fairly serious, fairly serious, about 5 hours or so on this mountain. And I didn't wear sunglasses, and it seems to have slightly burned my eyes. So I'm a bit out of focus today. So I apologize if I see things double. You can come and join our Patreon community here. There are a couple of spots available still that I made available just for just literally $5 a month. If you join us for the year, you get another month off. So it becomes really sillily cheap for a marvelous community and pictures of fluffy dogs. I mean, where do you get that? Look how happy he looks. This was after the hike in the forest. So, on a more serious note, Square, I think their repositioning could be quite exciting. I think renaming themselves Block, obviously, big hint there, blockchain, cryptos, could be really, really quite interesting. They could be one of the leaders in that whole payment platform sector. So I wouldn't write it off, but I haven't properly understood their rebrand yet. But it seems to me just like, Facebook, hugely profitable, tons of free cash flow, brilliant on many sides, but people don't find it that exciting. By rebranding themselves Meta and becoming a big investor into the whole metaverse space, they might regain that excitement. So it's important for companies to kind of rebrand themselves every once in a while. How Winston's eyes? He's fine, actually. No, he's fine. He's a lot less light sensitive, it seems, than me. So no worries there. He's in good shape. But thanks for asking, Mike. He doesn't. That's the one thing he loves the best, I think, really is, well, playing with his pals and climbing mountains. Philip saying Barber's making everybody poor at the moment. Yep, absolutely. Absolute capital destroyer with not very much fun. So if you've just joined us, Palantir, 2 great deals. Jump back to the beginning of the vid and you get a proper walkthrough. Well, I'm joined by a cat here. Kinder Morgan, who operate this enormous infrastructure in the United States here. They are now a customer. It's confirmed. They didn't confirm the deal value, but I would suspect it would be 10 million plus just because of the scale of it. But that's me making an assumption here. My Chief Financial Officer is here. She says, smash the like button for the fluffy goats so they have enough, fluffiness for the winter. And we also have the US Space Command awarding another $43 million contract. And apparently they have a platform that looks to me almost like a new product. It's called Warp Core. So something that Palantir has developed for them. Other than that, the market isn't particularly jumping on this news. So Palantir, as we speak, is, it's up 1%. I'm wrong, very happily wrong. 1958, we are up 1%. That's good news. Let's have a look at the whole kind of key market here. Snowflake, great numbers. They're up. Didi up almost 9%. I might have to sell out of my Didi stock here. So I bought Didi, pure speculative play, because if they take you private, if you watch my video on that, I don't know, these things are not loading today. If you take a company private, you basically have to buy out shareholders. You have to do that at a premium. That's my thought there. And I bought it at 7 something. So up 10%. I think I'll probably take some profits there and reduce my risk, because you never know. They might not take a profit and then I'll be stuck with a pretty rubbish stock, which I don't want. Peloton up 7%, Uber up 5%. So this is kind of all the whole fear around this nonsense here, US tightens travel testing requirements, mask mandates, and so on. By saying nonsense, I'm not judging the content. I'm just saying I'm rather tired of listening and talking and reading about COVID. I think most of us are. Xpeng is reporting good numbers. They are up. Coins up 3%. Neo up 2.6%. So we are seeing that rebound we saw earlier in pre-market, and it's actually becoming true. PayPal up to 184, 2.6% up. Very nice. DraftKings up 2.5%. NVDA 2.5% up. So, okay, money pouring into quality stocks here, which is good to see. Even Barber is up 1%, but at 123.88, not quite where we'd like it to be. Netflix up, and the whole QQQ market, Nasdaq up 0.5% at the moment. Square up just 1/3. And what's hurting? Well, EHang, if you read their earnings statement, you'll know why. Etsy is down 2%. PDD, Ride are down a bit. Probably a bit of profit taking here on the Polestar stock. Moderna still being punished for the CEO, down 1%, and Lucid down a touch. So overall, market looking much happier, much healthier. Let me show you the future. So the future is actually, this is a little delayed by the looks of it, because we are actually more green than that already. So that's positive. I think that's a good thing. do come and join me for the free webinar down below. Go to felixfriends.org/webinar. Do sign up. That is completely free. And we're going to take you through live how to make 2022 the greatest year ever for our portfolios. Strategies from everything from what the investment banks are saying to interest rate rises next year, continued higher inflation, and much, much more. What are the smart moves we can do? If you want to keep talking to me about all of this and you want to get the news faster, come and join our Patreon. It's a brilliant community, felixfriends.org/Patreon. It literally it starts at $5 a month for tremendous access to lots of very, very smart people. It isn't a Reddit in the sense everybody jumps up and down in excitement. We actually share lots of real news. Not that Reddit doesn't do that, but you know what I mean. Reddit, it's a little bit on the messy side. We aim for a little bit of a higher caliber than that, and I think we have achieved that, which I'm super happy about. So thank you for all of you who are on the Patreon already, and I look forward to seeing you on the next live, on the next videos. Make sure you subscribe. We are rallying towards 30,000 subscribers. I wish you a happy trading day, and if you only do one thing today, go to felixfriends.org/webinar. It is free. The spots will run out. There will be a limit to it, so don't hang about, and have a lovely day.